Okay, I am on.
You're on.
I
Perfect.
am.
All right. So thank you everybody for joining, those who are watching us via Facebook and also our panelists. I was told last time that from the view that I have versus what's feeding on Facebook is a little different as far as how it's showing. So I'm just gonna call your name. If you could wave your hand. And if you want to say a little bit about yourself, that's fine too. So I'm gonna start with Wanda. Hi, Wanda.
Hi everyone.
And so we have Nene. We have two Stephanies here, so we're gonna have to use her nickname. We have Jay.
That's me, Jay.
All right. And we have Barbara.
Hello, everyone.
We have Stef Williams, the author.
Hello.
We have Alex here.
Hey, y'all.
Miss Erica from last time. It's been over a week.
Hi.
All right, we have new to the panel with Jay. He's new too. Is Jua.
Hi, Jua.
All right, you can unmute your screen, Jua. Want to say hi. And while we wait on her to say hi, we'll let Glory. Glory, did you want to unmute yours to say hi? Okay.
Can you hear me now?
Oh, I got you. I can hear you now, Joa. Great.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now too, Gloria.
Okay.
So thank you guys for taking time out to join us again for the part 2 of Blueprint 2 Events presents Wind Down Readers. And we're going to do a virtual review of 4 through 11 of the wonderful book, Joy Happens.
Yay.
And so for the sake of time, what I'm going to do is try to spend at least like 7 or no more than 7 or 8 minutes going over each chapter, because we have chapters 4 through 11 to review, and we got a lot of interesting things to discuss. If you read it, you know what I'm talking about. So again, the wonderful thing about this particular book review is that we have the author with us. Where that author at? There she is.
I'm right here.
And so this literary art form is Steph, you know, hands down, you did your job. It is definitely so many discussions to be had. You touched on so many different topics, especially what we're going to talk about tonight. So I'm not going to chat too much. I'm going to continue. Also, we're going to have here in the chat room, we're going to also just keep your eye on the chat room. We're going to display where you can purchase the book on Amazon. And also, if you follow Stephanie, as we said last time, she's in the middle of writing her second novel. So you can keep up with all of the release dates if you have questions for her. Again, if you're a new author and you're trying to get published and things of that sort, she is a resource site. So definitely don't hesitate to ask her any questions. And yeah, that's pretty much it. All right. So I have a message here. All right. And Gloria, you're saying delete the foot. What were you saying, Gloria? Oh, okay. I thought I got a message from you. All right. So these particular chapters kind of focus primarily on Joy, Preston, Zeke, and our new love-hate character, Della. That whole debacle. I would say triangle, but it's too many of them in it to say triangle, so it's a debacle. And so starting with chapter 4, Meet Me on the Dance Floor. This particular chapter takes place in Houston, and it's the girls, they're still hanging out at Tyra's house for their weekend, and they're getting ready, you know, to go out for the night. Like most of us, you know, we're drinking, we're dancing, we're having a good time, you know, doing what we do as friends to maximize the fun times together. And the car service arrives, and they are introduced to Clybourne Poindexter. I don't know where Steph got that name from, but his name does not match his description, okay? but he's this extremely, at this particular point in the book, he's the extremely attractive limo driver. And we're going to hear about Clyburn as we go further along. As in our last meeting, we talked about how Suzette's behavior is still labeled as strange. Okay, within chapter 4, the girls are noticing it's brought up again that her strange behavior is continuing along, and we're going to find out what this strange behavior is with Suzette. So also Tyra is still trying to organize some sort of way to introduce Joy to Preston. She really wants to introduce Joy to Preston. And so they go out. Tyra's, she's the event planner. She's planning this wonderful event that her company is hosting, and they have a good time. They dance. Literally at the end of the book, Stef says they dance their shoes off. How many of us have gone out and you walk to the car, even before those little flexible flats came out, we walked to the car with our shoes in our hands. So needless to say, it sounds like they had a good time. Stef, just out of respect for you in this book, did I forget, before I move on to chapter 5, did I forget anything in chapter 4 that you wanted to kind of point attention to with this discussion?
No.
Okay.
I think you covered it all.
Okay, so chapter 5,
Keisha,
coffee, tea, or Tyra. Say that again, Nene.
I said before you go on,
Yeah.
I did want to say that when they went to Club Ambiance, I was trying to remember what Club Ambiance looked like, but go ahead.
Oh, okay. So Stef, is it a real club called Club Ambiance?
Yes, it was.
Yes, it was.
Oh, okay.
Yes, it was.
I didn't know that.
Steph hit up on the
She did my research.
You sure did.
She really
Well,
did.
look, I feel like I need to go back and retract some of the places.
They all existed.
They all existed. Okay, so Club Ambiance, because Nene, you're in Houston, and the book takes place in Houston. Okay, well, you have to let us know. So, do you remember anything from Club Ambiance? Okay. I'll let you simmer over there on that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so moving to chapter 5, coffee, tea, or Tyra. So Clyburn shows up to Tyra's with Joy's ID. I thought this was really cute. Mm-hmm. So it looks like Joy invites Clyburn in when he comes to the door, and he comes to there. Turns out Joy has left her ID in his car, and being the gentleman that he is, that we're finding out about him, he's returning it to the house that he picked the ladies up from. Well, it turns out that Joy strategically planted her license in his car. She purposely left her license in his car. That was brave, because I wouldn't have done that, especially if I'm out of town. Now I can't leave my ID. I'll leave my Costco card. I'm not leaving my ID.
The Costco card is not going to have an address on it, so we need.
Well, that's true. But she's in DC, so I'm pretty sure it had a DC address on it.
Well, yeah, that's true. And then he remembered where he dropped them off at. So
yeah, I can't leave my license.
They were.
It's too tight out here. But anyway, I thought that was really cute that she was, thinking of her friend, that she would leave the license to bring. And sometimes some people have a good, I don't know, they can detect energy where they can make decisions. Yeah, like that. I'm not that person. Nah. I would have left my license in the car where the guy would have never came back. And then I would have missed my flight going back to DC, and the saga would have just carried on. But yeah. So anyway, as Clyburn shows up and Joy invites him in for coffee, and Tyra is wondering, like, why is she inviting the limo driver in, for coffee and stuff? What is this about? So she comes in, she conversates with Clyburn. Tyra comes in there, and then Joy kind of, trying to work her plan out. She leaves them in the kitchen to talk. And it turns out it worked, because Tyra ends up liking Clyburn. And on page 770, so when Tyra comes back upstairs and she talks to Joy about, what she found out about him, she, reveals that she got a little crush on him. And one thing I did like about the book, y'all know I'm a sucker for chivalry and all that stuff, is that when she got up to leave, he got up from his table. Do men still do that?
Absolutely.
Okay, Jay.
All right, Jay.
Oh don't get to get up. So, you know, I don't know. Yeah, I thought that was a nice little touch that, hold on, I'm gonna let Candace in. A nice little touch that showed how, you know, just to kind of give you a little hint of the type of person that Clyburn is. He's a gentleman. You know, he got up when the lady got up to leave the room. I like that.
Yeah, so as we know that chivalry is not dead, correct, Jay?
Absolutely. It's not dead by any means.
Okay, well, you know, hey, the things are evolving and changing, so, you know.
Keisha, you did say the word men, so you know,
Hey,
men
look,
do that.
I was getting ready to touch on that. A man would stand up, a boy would stay seated.
Yeah,
Right.
that's true. Okay. I think all of us agree on that. You're right.
He's right. And Shira is not dead. Nope.
So also when, you know, they're having their little girl chat and they're talking about Clyburn and they're also talking about some other things. I noticed on page 7 that Joy didn't want to confide into the other ladies when they came into the room. And she wanted to kind of spare herself from the judgment and the lip service. Now, I know all of us have an array of friends, but do you have friends that you tell certain things to? And Alex, go ahead and spill the beans.
Oh yeah, definitely. Well, because I make my friends in various types of places. So like I have work friends, I have friends that I have had for a while. So depending on how close I am with someone, that'll kind of, you know, determine what they find out about. But also just because I know some of my friends will have more of a comment than others. So you know, good, bad, or indifferent. I just have some friends who are a little bit more vocal with what they feel about things, and they're not going to hold anything back. So sometimes just to save myself like a 40-minute conversation, I don't tell them.
Okay, I like that. See, with me, with my friends, I can somewhat be transparent. It depends on the situation that they have going on. Like I have a girlfriend, if she's happy in her love life, then you can talk about being happy in yours. But if she ain't happy in her love life, she don't want to hear nothing that you got to say happy about your love life. So I can kind of relate to that. I like the way she added that in. What did you have on your mind in particular, Stephanie, when you added that into the book? I like that.
Well, it's because that when you have a circle of friends, and like my circle of friends, you do have certain ones that are more sensitive, some that would think it were crazy to do something like that. Like you just said yourself, what would you have thought about me leaving my license on purpose? Because you would have said, oh, you did something like that. He's crazy. He could have been a stalker. He could have been a killer. Why'd you leave your license? And then you would have those who would say, oh, yes, girl, you know what? That was creative. You go. So that's what I was just trying to show, the mix of that, because with the circle of friends that I do hang out with, there are some that I would have said, that I would have told that to, and there's others that I wouldn't have told that to, like Miss Crump. I wouldn't have told her. No, I wouldn't have told her. But when she would have come to me, because she knows that I can't lie to her, she would have said, okay, where did you meet him from? What did you do? I mean, you did something. I'm not telling you yet, you know. So, and then you have Erica. I could have told Erica, and she was like, you felt that love connection, didn't you? I'm like, yeah, I would have. I thought they could have got something going, you know. So, but yeah, no, that's true. We do have those friends. It doesn't take anything away from the relationship. But you do have some that are, you know, more conservative, and then there's some that are out there.
Okay, well, I'm gonna look
out there. Erica,
you're out there.
Erica's out there.
Me and Erica are out there.
Me and Toya watch ID channel.
Oh Lord. Barbara,
they don't even take to go out the backyard, go in the backyard. So, you know, there you have it.
Okay, so let me look in the chat room and see what's going on. So it looks like Toya, she remarked, I don't know exactly what point she remarked to, but she put shade in capital SHAD. So I guess that was for you, Stephanie.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Okay. All right. Okay, so moving on to chapter 6. All right. Sorry, Grandma, I got to say this title. Strictly Not Dickly. Okay. So this takes place in Houston. We're still in Houston in this part of the book. And the ladies, oh Lord, they having this event to go to at the Four Seasons, the Diana Ross concert.
Oh Lord.
They'll put another plug in for Diana Ross. And so this is a little, this is a serious transition that the ladies are going through with the test of their friendship, and also, how their relationships have evolved into maybe something different, maybe not. So Tyra, states that she noticed the closeness that some of Suzette's quote unquote friends, they've been seeing, the same friends at the different events that they've been to since Friday. And she noticed that, the friends were a little, let's just say closer than, your traditional friends. And she just kind of observed that a little bit. So she decides to discuss it, with the ladies. Like, hey, I noticed, this and that with Suzette. Are you guys noticing it too? So they have this conversation. And it's so funny. They don't realize that Suzette can hear them talking about her. And I love the way on page 76 in the book, Stef put, you could have bought them. When they found out that Suzette was listening to them, she said, you could have bought them with food stamps. That's how shocked they were. I have never heard that before in my life. That is funny. You could have bought them with food stamps. So let's just, just to pause there for a moment. I don't know. It seems sort of betrayal, but if you were to, overhear your friend kind of chatting about you, unless it was just, downright derogatory, is it shade? Is it wrong? I don't know. You guys let me know out there if you're watching on Facebook. Is it wrong? Like if it's a group of y'all and you're supposed to be tight and you overhear me say, what's up with Shelly? She's not talking. Is that really shade? I mean, I could come and talk to you, but if I notice that you aren't really vibing like that, is that really shade? What do you guys think?
Hey, can you hear me?
I can hear you, Joa.
Yeah, I don't think it's shade.
I don't either.
I don't either.
Especially when you have like a group of friends, you're going to experience your friends maybe talking about you because you have.
It's gonna happen.
Something. Yeah, for sure. Now, someone has the right to be offended, if they walk into a conversation and someone is talking about them, but it's just going to happen.
It's going to happen. Yeah, you can pretend like it's not. I had to learn that with getting older with my girlfriends, because it's like, wait a minute, they talk to me about other people. I'm not off limits.
Yeah. Keisha, though, the other thing to think. Keisha.
How you doing? Oh,
hey,
sorry.
Keisha, can you hear me?
Saying something. I can hear you now. Sorry.
Okay, no problem. I was thinking that it's not necessarily shady, but I think if you go back a few chapters, I think they all noticed something was different about Suzette from all the time. So I think it was really just trying to get an affirmation. Are you seeing what I'm seeing? Because everybody had a little suspicion ever since she arrived.
And it just goes to show too. Oh, I'm sorry.
I think honestly, with any friend group, especially if you've known each other for so long, if someone is acting slightly out of character, everyone is going to notice.
Yeah.
And it's going to be hard for that to not be a topic of conversation, because especially since these ladies have known each other for so long, just even a slight oddity in a behavior, everyone in the group is going to pick up on that. And then, I mean, like Wanda said, going back a few chapters, they've all kind of noticed something
is going on with her.
And I also think that, in a group of friends, there's always one friend that may know one friend just a little bit better than the next friend. So that friend may say, the friends that's not quite as close may say, so what's up with Suzette? What's wrong with her? To the friend that they think is a little bit closer and may know.
Yeah, and you're right. And I think you can't avoid that. I think that happens with siblings too.
Yes.
No.
I don't have it. I have a brother, but yeah, I think it does.
Yeah.
And you know, also everything ain't for everybody. You might share something with one friend that you're not gonna share with the other friend.
That's true.
Because all of us had that one. All of us had that one friend that just can't keep their damn mouth shut.
You're right. You are so right.
And you know, if you tell them the least little tidbit, it's gonna be on the 6 o'clock and the 10 o'clock news. So you know you can't tell that friend anything.
And you're right. Some people just can't, you know, as my grandma said, she can't hold water. Some people just can't hold water. It's good to them. They can't wait to release it.
Absolutely.
So, Gloria, you've been kind of quiet over there. What's your take on this whole Suzette situation before we reveal what's going on with Suzette? Oh, she can't hear us. Can you hear us, Gloria?
Yes, I can hear.
Oh, okay. What's your take?
What are you asking?
How did you feel about when you first read the section about Suzette when she overheard the girls chatting about how she's been, you know, kind of distant? And, you know, have you ever been in a situation like that where someone has walked up and heard the conversation?
I walk up. My situation is I'm always walking up on. I'm in Suzette's place. I hear people say things about me. So, and you know, people have freedom of speech. You can free to say and whatever you want. And I don't have a problem with that. Only thing I have a problem with if what you say about me is not true.
Okay, well, yeah, that's different because that's a whole,
Now, if I walk up on you, you talking about I have on a blue shirt. If I have on a blue shirt, I have on a blue shirt. But if I hear you saying things about me that's not true, which are lies.
Sound like Brownie.
You know, I learned to, if I don't disagree or if I need to explain myself, I will. Situation like that. With girl groups or any groups, everybody always at some point is going to be talking about the other person that's not in the room, you know? So it's just we're human and it's just human nature. So.
Okay, well, yeah, I can dig it.
Let's be clear.
Just don't lie on me, because you know I don't like liars.
Okay. Well, let's see what they're talking about in the Facebook chat. Let's see here.
And let's just make sure that we know, Keisha, let's make sure that we know that in that section of the book, it wasn't like they were talking about her.
Right.
Like having a concerned conversation about what was going on and how she was just acting strange. That's it.
And I think, and we're going to go in, and we're going to go into it more so with Suzette and her particular situation. She has a pressing issue that they're going to find out more about. But I just thought that was really interesting that you put that in the book because it happens all the time. You know, it happens all the time. So Suzette overhears them talking about her. She doesn't like it very much. Okay. Like some wouldn't, you know, like Gloria said, don't be throwing shade about me. Okay. So during this time, Suzette decides to officially come out about her sexuality to the ladies. And this takes place on page 77. And this is certainly a surprise to them. Vivian, it's funny that Barbara brought up, she already knew about, you know, Suzette's sexuality. And just like with any friend, when you confide into something that's so personal and so deep, you know, that's not your place. I don't think I would either if a friend had told me you know, that's their place to have, whether it be an intimate conversation with each one of the friends, or if they just wanted to sit everyone down. So, and it, you know, it's a transition in their friendship, but like true friends, they embrace her. Yeah, it's a shock because it's something, anytime you find out about, you know, someone that you love and it's something different or something that you didn't know about, you do get kind of taken aback, whether it's their sexuality or one that they want to date that you may not approve of, or any type of life change. If it's something that you can't predict or you didn't know about, then yeah, it kind of throws you for a loop. What do you guys think? Has anyone ever been in a situation where their friend had, you know, some sort of lifestyle change? I had a friend that, you know, we went to college together and they went to medical school. And I mean, this person was like a go-getter. They worked hard and this and that. And they called me up and just, you know, was like, oh yeah, I'm no longer practicing medicine. I want to be a painter. And I'm like, oh, I didn't know you painted. You sure? You know, like, oh wow, this is different for me, because I thought, you know, we all think we know everything about you, but you'd be surprised, you know, some of the things that, you know, friends may not so much be, you know, honest and forthright with. So I think that's the vibe I'm getting, that the ladies took it. And let's see, look, Portia says from the chat room, you're 100% right. Let's see who else is here.
Joa, what are you saying?
I say Gwendolyn, she says everything ain't for everybody. I'm sorry, and Joa, you had something, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, no, I'm sorry. I didn't realize that you were reading the chat.
It's okay. It's okay.
I was going to say, when I was reading that, I thought about the background of the friends. First, if I remember correctly, they were on their way to church, right?
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah.
And then these group of women come from a Southern background. You know, when it comes to sexuality, unfortunately, in our society, sexuality is a controversial topic.
Yeah, still is, unfortunately.
Within the South, you know, Southern, you know, people tend to be more conservative, and they tend to have really strong views about, you know, sexuality and things like that. So I think they were kind of taken aback by it, because I was just thinking about their background, you know. Some people just have different opinions about things like that, and not saying that they would love her any less, or
right,
you know, dislike her, but I understood why there may have been some type of, you know,
shift. Yeah.
I think that's a big thing, just because, you know, the process of even coming out to people in general, something that I know very personally, it's a very personal, but also it can be very difficult, because you don't know how people are going to respond. You know, in my case, I can agree with Suzette that, you know, coming out to one friend is a lot easier than, you know, having to do a mass come out session with everyone, you know what I mean? So I think I really appreciated the note that, you know, Vivian's like, it wasn't my place. You know, that's a big thing, because unfortunately, I had a friend who didn't think that way. So, you know, she blabbed her mouth, and, you know, it put me in a position that wasn't, you know, as someone who's going to an all-male Catholic high school, it wasn't taken very, you know, well by the student body. So it's a situation that, you know, given the background, I definitely agree with Joa that it really can be a touchy subject, especially, I mean, even nowadays, you know, it's still a big deal, you know, LGBTQ people are still being attacked in the streets for who they are. And so I think this is an interesting perspective on this situation that some of us who are in that community have witnessed, you know, firsthand. And, you know, when we get into the situation that happens later, that's not too far from what happens for most, you know, for some people, especially if you add the conservative background, and like, you know, people have different opinions about things, and they are raised to believe a certain way about that. So, the description of Suzette being like really anxious from the beginning.
That's a good word.
To me,
anxious.
As I read these chapters, I had a feeling, I was like, "Ooh, this makes me feel like a certain way that I used to feel like." When you're preparing to tell people something that's really, personal and can be very difficult to say to somebody. When we got to the part where she's like, "This is who I am," I was like, I had a feeling,
Right.
Well, let's not also miss the. Oh, go ahead, Wanda. I'm sorry.
No, I was just going to say too to that is that again that we have to think about the context. You with your best girlfriend,
and they're 40-some years old. Remember?
Exactly, and they've been friends for a long time, and all
Yeah.
they've talked about is men, the ones that aren't
Strictly?
married, talk about strictly, exactly. And so this as easy. I mean, as much as you love someone, it still has to come as a shock, and so I think it's there needs to be an opportunity to process and digest. And so as we see coming up, that it's kind of like you can't just throw that on someone, especially people that have known you for a great long time, to and expect them to say, oh, okay, and just keep going. It had to be a shock.
Yeah.
So,
but you know what? I looked at it totally different from the way Joie explained it, but I see where she's coming from. I looked at it like these are your friends that you've had since college, and none of them knew.
Yeah.
True.
I'm sorry, but the close girlfriends that I have, we know each other like that. And it wouldn't be a big deal. And granted, yes, I did grow up in the South, but I moved away. So I didn't look at it from that standpoint of that's how, kind of how Southern, the mentality of Southern people are. But I looked at it as these are close girlfriends. Why didn't they know?
But
and get ready. It was up to Suzette to come out and say, yes, I am gay. But why didn't they know? And I'm glad that they accepted her. But I just had a hard time with why didn't they know? And they've been friends for 20 years.
Okay, well, she may not have embraced it though.
Thank you, because
to grips that she was.
That is the perspective that it was written in. That is the context. It's because they were college friends. Now she's always dated. That's why the title is of the chapter is Strictly Dickly, because all 5 of the girlfriends have always been strictly dickly.
Okay.
I mean, they have been. So how many situations? Strictly not dickly. Oh yeah, strictly not dickly. Sorry. Look, we thought we were. We thought we all were, and then we're but how many situations have you run across? Maybe not personally, but heard of a woman who's been in a marriage with her husband, divorced, and now she's in love with the woman.
Yeah,
it's been a lot.
I mean, it happens. You never would have known. Who would have thought? And even sometimes, even with men, they end up. You think he's that manly man, the good father, all of this, and then all of a sudden, he's strictly dickly too. So,
did you guys take it as when I first read it? Because I kind of committed to these characters, so I was kind of, I'm all of these are my friends now. Now that I'm all the way in chapter 4, and so did you take it as they took it, or maybe not so much Tyra, but maybe some of the other ladies? I don't know. We haven't gotten. And Alex, since you've been through this, maybe you can kind of expound or just kind of maybe give your. But I took it as, well, gosh, do I know you?
Yeah.
Because this is something I had no clue of. And maybe I'm used to, because I've known you since college. We're 40 now, so we got some years in, and we see each other, multiple times of the year, talk on the phone. I'm envisioning them being very close. And then you give me this information about your lifestyle that I was totally oblivious to. So it's not so much of maybe supporting you. It's like, dang, I thought I knew you, even though we don't know everything about everybody. But
I think
you feel sort of like a, dang, I thought we were, are we tight like that?
I mean, I had a friend when I came out who her response was, "Oh, but all your friends are women." I was like, all of my friends are women. have any male
Red
friends.
flag, red flag.
Like the only male friends I have are, you know, whatever. But I think from the perspective, from the girl's perspective, especially since, you know, they've known each other for so long, I can totally agree with you, Keisha, that it would definitely be a huge surprise. But coming from the perspective that I have, especially like if you add the background, you add the fact that they're religious, you add the fact that it's you know, a group of women who, you know, talk mostly about their, you know, their escapades with men and that kind of thing. So for someone who you know, like Stephanie was saying, that it's possible that she wasn't comfortable with herself up until that point, and then it got to the point where she was like, well, I don't want to lie to myself anymore because I can't deny certain things, and the sexuality that I have doesn't identify me within our friend group. That shouldn't, you know, determine whether or not I'm treated differently. So I think for Suzette, I can see where she's coming from, where she may have over the years felt it necessary to either, you know, come forward and say, you know, oh yeah, I've been with men, or like I've dated men, blah, 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 when in reality she has or hasn't, just so she would fit in and not be singled out. Because as you know, being in a friend group with a bunch of people, regardless of who they are, for so long, there's bound to be information about somebody that you didn't know.
You don't know.
It's gonna come as a surprise. You know,
right.
like your friend who,
hi Lauren,
full medical. You know,
sorry,
she,
go ahead.
you know, she was full medical, and then she, you know, wants to be a painter. I mean, I have a friend who went to medical school, was like literally 2 weeks away from getting his doctorates, and became a music producer. Everyone, even those of us who knew him really, really well, myself included, was like, where did that come from?
Right.
You know?
Not like the painter.
So the point about like, do I know you? It's a good point, because something like that, you know, is a big part of that person and how they interact with society. But I think the conversation about, you know, how it was accepted, I think we're in for a bit of a treat.
Yeah, don't go ahead too far. Yeah, exactly. So let me see. Let's see what they're talking about. What they're talking about in the chat room. Everyone's kind of like greeting each other. And then Pettigay said, hey, I guess I need to buy this book.
Yes.
That's hilarious. Okay, so hi Lauren, I see you came in. We were just talking about chapter 6, girl. It's getting warm.
It is.
We're talking about Suzette and how she came out and that whole situation. And we were just kind of going through trying to interpret, you know, what everybody's feelings and thoughts were, being the friend, being Suzette. And, you know, given that they are good girlfriends, of course, they supported her. But, you know, in a traditional mindset, you would think, oh, well, you just need to support them. But at the same time, that's your good girlfriend for 20 plus years. And she brings this up, it kind of throws you aback, and rightfully so, because you feel like, you know, do I know her? So that's what we was kind of going on and chatting about. So moving on to chapter 7, and that's titled True Friendship Requires No Test. And we are still trying to get to church. They can't get to church to save their life. They need to get to church.
Bad.
And this is taking place. We still in Houston. Nene, shout out to Nene. We still in Houston. And so the ladies talk in this book. This particular chapter talks about how they met Suzette's friends, and they found out that they were, you know, really nice women. And then we meet Miss Daphne. How we met Miss Daphne. So they are still the ladies.
Wait for you to get to that part.
Ladies are still at Tyra's house. You know, we're still having our girlfriends' weekend, trying to get to church. We got to get to the house of the Lord. And they find out Suzette has a guest that spent the night. Miss Daphne was one of the friends that they had been seeing Suzette with as they go to different events and stuff that was kind of close. And Miss Tyra blows a gasket. I mean, she takes the filter out and throws it in the trash can, and she voices her opinion to the 10th power. And yeah, she expresses to Suzette and Daphne, and she was much coarser than I am, but basically letting them know that she found that they were being inconsiderate and they are being offensive. And she did not appreciate that Suzette had an overnight guest without her knowledge.
Okay. So let me just paint the picture. Okay, so you're at your girlfriend's house. There are 5 suites upstairs. Everybody has their individual suite. Tyra comes out of the suite and she is checking on the girlfriends to make sure that they are ready as we are still trying to get to the house of the Lord. Mm-hmm. Out walks this strange woman. Mm-hmm. And you're like,
I was sized up too. Like, who is this?
Who is this? Who are you? Yeah. So that's where all of the confusion comes in.
Yeah.
Okay. I just wanted to paint that picture first. Just imagine, visualize this now. You got your suit on, you ready, you telling your girlfriends, come on, the car be here in a minute. And all of a sudden, this strange woman walks out of your house. And mind you, there ain't no men in the house.
Okay.
But okay. So kind of going back to hello?
Uh-huh.
You hear, we hear you.
Okay, so going back to the acceptance of it, because they all are friends, and basically the ladies didn't give her any pushback when she told them, you know, they were shocked that she had come out, but her bringing somebody else into the house, it's almost like accept me or not. Yeah. It's still going to happen. And I think that she didn't, Suzette didn't give her friends time to process this new lifestyle that she has and the new person that they're getting to know, that she just automatically went into who she is without any consideration, not just for the house, not just because there weren't any other men in the house or nobody was, you know, had brought a man home or another someone else home. It was just the fact that she had, for the first time since they were in college, said to her best friends that this is who I am. And then the next morning you wake up to that. I mean, you have to think that Tyra, again, we take the Southern girls, they're from, you know, Carolina down from the South, and they have this already the stigma, but then you just kind of throw this on them. Right. You can't expect, I mean, I think Tyra did pretty good not to, you know, because she could have just said, okay, you need to leave, both of y'all need to leave, and that just be the end of it.
I mean, we going into the chat room. Toya says, if it was a dude, would they have had the same response?
Yes.
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
Because that's not the kind of weekend we were having.
Bring somebody to somebody's house.
I think it depends. Yeah, I think it depends on how that weekend was, right?
Yeah.
Like, I don't think it would have been as much of a hassle if you and your girlfriends have a whole weekend out and somebody goes home with someone extra. You're not really going through all of that commotion with it, I don't think. But at the same time, it could be if you guys are having like a weekend and it's supposed to just be girls involved, and it's like, well, why have anyone else if it's just supposed to be our time anyway? So I think it could definitely depend.
Yes. I think it also, to go back to Wanda's point, that you can ask people to accept you for who you are, but there's no reason the next morning to throw it in their face.
Okay, and it's funny that you brought that up, because we later find out that Suzette had brought her, well, Tara blows up, and she pretty much in her blowing up tells Suzette what she thinks about her lifestyle. So it was a little bit beyond just having, you know, Daphne there. Right. It went into another lane. And so we find out also that Suzette, you know, i.e. to the title, True Friendship Requires No Test, she brought the girl, she purposely had her spend the night just to kind of test to see if, you know, her friends were going to be real about their feelings.
So my thing with that is, first of all, it's not your house.
Right.
Right. So just to start off with, it's not your house. It's not your place to invite guests. This, that, or the other. A male or female doesn't matter. Second of all, you've already had a huge conversation heart to heart with your girlfriends. You're asking them to accept you, and then you invite a stranger into someone else's house without their permission.
Right.
I think Tyra's response was, except for
initially, I was with her. Yeah,
I was with her for the word, the way she responded, because honestly, if I walked out in my house and just some random person was standing there, cool as a cucumber, ready to go, I would have been like, who are you?
Right.
But I think her frustration with the moment, but also the fact that she was overwhelmed with the information she had just been given, was just too much for her. I think people say things in the heat of a moment that they may not necessarily mean to say. So I think that's one thing. I think also just the fact that, at the end of that chapter, we find out that, or not even at the end of the chapter, but, at the end of that little escapade, we find out that Suzette rocked this woman as a object, basically.
Yeah. What do you guys think? You agree too, Stephanie?
Yeah.
So Erica, Barbara, and Candace, what do you guys think about it?
I think that Tyra had every right to be upset. I think that she was upset a little bit at the wrong person, because Daphne was pretty much an innocent bystander.
Agreed.
Thank you for bringing that up. Yeah.
I think that Suzette already knew how her friends feel. That's why she hadn't told anybody before now. So even put her friends through that test, to me, was unfair. On her part, because she knew, if she didn't tell her friends and she was holding it back, she already knew how her friends felt about that life, her choice of lifestyle, and it would take a period of adjustment. So for her to do that, to me, wasn't cool.
No.
I do think that she was, Tyra just kind of went south on the wrong person, because Daphne was just an innocent bystander. She didn't know.
Right.
Yeah.
But you know what Barbara is saying, that how sometimes people blame the other person, when you're in a relationship and the person is the side that you tend to take. And so she could have viewed it as, this person is making you do these things, because this is not what you would typically do. So I know that it had to be you. So that may be why Tyra went the way that she did, because that wasn't a behavior that Suzette probably had ever had, male or female. So
the behavior she's not used to.
Yeah.
I just think it was rude. As an adult, even though I'm 27, I think I carry myself more, controllably in situations like that. Like, I feel like the way she approached it, like, yeah, she was upset, but she shouldn't approach it how she said, like that to her, because she doesn't know her. She's a stranger. So like anytime I've come, like, I'm a very sociable person. So anytime I either welcome in somebody, don't know somebody, my face may tell it all, but I try to work on those things. But
we all do.
The way that she came about on the Sunday, and I'm just like, on a Sunday, like, anybody that's country, religious, all stuff, like, I don't have all this time to do that on the Sunday before church. Like, you done took your jacket off, and
she was ready.
Right.
Tyra was mad.
She was squaring up and everything. And you know what, Candace, you bring up that's a good point, because she could have easily told, Suzette, can I have a word with you?
Yeah. So as a friend, if y'all are all friends and this is just an outsider, like me and my friends.
But remember, she saw Daphne first. She
right.
didn't see Suzette first. She saw Daphne first.
My thing with that,
but then wasn't Tyra also the one that was the least accepting? Even when she was told. So her thing was going to be anger no matter what.
She called her the B word. And
she did. She went left.
Yeah. Friendly B word. It was like, oh, I don't know you kind of B word. Like,
oh, yeah. Yes. But I think because she was angry. Because again, these girls have been together for a long time. So and if you don't believe in this, your values are so different from that. Anger is going to be that, and it probably stepped outside of Tyra's general personality too, with the shock of it, probably.
I mean, there's also the fact that it's a stranger in your house, you know? Personally, I feel like she should have just asked her to leave first and then have a conversation with Suzette, you know? I think
she should have went about it that way.
The fact that whatever her name was, handled herself so like well, you know, good for her, but I mean, I don't know if I would have been able to just, you know, walk out of the house and be like, you know, I'm sorry for all of this and just leave. I would have probably fought also. So I think those.
Okay, Alex.
First of all, I would not have gone to someone's house without letting the host know that I'm there. You know, it's
I think that's the headline
a
of the
booty call or
disrespect.
not. You know, if you're going to someone else's house and that person
leave before the
at
sun comes
someone
up.
else's house, you shouldn't. You know.
Yeah, she could have did that. But so going. Oh, go ahead, Joa.
Me too. You know, Tyra likes to get things done. She plans parties, so you know she likes to be in control.
What?
Daphne being there without her knowing what was going on, and it's her spot. And you know, I think you know her anger came from many places. I also think you may not agree with Suzette's lifestyle, because I was thinking, how would I react if I saw Daphne? And I don't think I would have gotten so upset. You know, I probably would not have liked it.
And personal.
Right. But like you said, Keisha, I would have just maybe pulled her to the side.
Yeah.
Who's this?
Yeah, what's up with your girl? And why she here? But let's go to the chat room. It looks like we have Shamel here, and she said, great point. Suzette did not give her friends time to adjust to the news. She had just told them.
That's right.
So I guess that, you know, she didn't even let the dust settle, you know, as far as like accepting. And then, you know, you bring this girl to Tyra's house. You didn't tell Tyra.
Absolutely.
And we still ain't got to church.
You can, right. You can tell people something, you know, major, but then to drop something like that in their lap, like not even a full day afterwards, and to expect them to, you know, oh, you know, this is fine. This is not your house, but sure, you can have house guests, whatever.
Yeah,
right.
I think that's kind of disrespectful.
I think it's unfair for that. But it's also, I think the biggest thing that like I saw in this whole situation was Daphne had nothing to do with it. Other than
she really got the
you know, and
you know, but you know,
but let's be honest though, isn't that how this always happens? Even if it's not a female standpoint of it, if you look at anything from groups of friends, it's always the other person that everyone is so mad at, not the person that, even if you think about it from a relationship standpoint, if you're in a relationship, you're not mad at your man, you're mad at the other girl. She didn't have anything to do with it as much as he did in the relationship. So she's your friend. She's the one that actually has that loyalty to you that should have been there, not Daphne. But it's the same way it works even in relationships, I feel like.
But the other thing, you remember Daphne, she was with at the club at two different events. Now, Tyra may not have seen that because Tyra was working those events. But you think about Daphne, to me, the role she played is she had to know that Suzette's friends didn't know her lifestyle, and that they were just adjusting to it. So Daphne, to me, played a part because she should not have gone until she knew things were, you know, that they were more accepting of the relationship.
Wanda is not Team Daphne, so y'all can forget about that.
Well, no, I'm not Team Daphne. I'm just trying to look at it from both perspectives.
I appreciate that. So
just like somebody invites you somewhere, you got to know whether or not it makes sense for you to be there.
Right.
Too,
and that's true.
You own some of that. Yeah.
Especially when we real grown.
I mean, there's real grown.
Erica, what were you going to say? Were you going to say something?
I want to hear what Jay has to say.
Yeah, I was.
Be quiet. Jay just grinning. Look at
Erica.
Wait a minute. Erica has the floor. What you got to say?
What I wanted to say when I thought about it, I thought both friends were wrong, because I thought Suzette was wrong for first bringing Daphne into the house like that, which we later found out that maybe she was trying to test her friends to see. But I thought she was wrong for doing that, because because she knows Tyron probably would have felt that was disrespectful. But then the way Tyra handled it, how she just went off on her friend to say, that's why I thought, they both kind of wrong. They friends, you got to back up just a little bit. But I do understand that, yeah, she was upset about someone being in her house, a stranger being in her house, but not just being so downright cold on her friend the way she did.
Jay?
And I agree. And Jay, we're going to go to you, and then after you, we're going to.
No, I was going to say, first off, if y'all friends, you don't just pop up. You would call and say, hey, I want to bring somebody over. Is it cool?
There you go.
That's the standard.
There you go.
Cool, because I don't like strangers in my house. I'd have left your ass on the porch.
There you go.
But okay, Jay, well, check this out. If you're planning something, then you kind of coach your friend like, oh, she cool, she my girl, she ain't gonna say nothing. If you're doing this intentionally, then
you still ask your friend the house you're going over, is it cool if I bring somebody?
Right.
That's true. Yeah, she should have. She should have.
And then if they cool with it, if y'all good enough friends, knowing that, hey, I'm not gonna just bring anybody over to your house. I'm gonna respect you and your house, not to just bring anybody, because you don't know who you're bringing into this person's house.
I agree with that.
I'm gonna make sure that person that I'm bringing is cool, because they've already been vetted by me. Then I know that they're cool, and then I'm going to ask my friend, hey, is it cool? Can I bring this person over to your house? And if they say okay, then it's cool. They might say, hey, nah, I don't feel okay, cool. Then I'll be by myself.
But Suzette knew that Tyra they weren't going to be cool with it.
Yeah. Right. And I think I would still go back to the point of, you have been friends with these ladies for so long that you should think about what it means to them too. And you should be, not just throw your behaviors onto them, but to say, because they never even talked about what that meant. They just realized she has come out and said that, that she is gay and she likes women. They haven't talked about what it means for the five of them and their relationship. So I still think it's much more to it. And I can side with Tyra about anger, because you hurt already. You've known this person forever. And then you're seeing this, and then now you're just gonna bring this lady into my house, and we haven't even talked about, and we can ready to go to church, which is another, it's a Sunday value. Yeah. So
I agree too, that's just the icing on the cake. You were saying, Gloria, I'm sorry. And then we're gonna move on after Gloria.
For one thing, I know a lot of you guys are weighing heavy on Tara for bringing her in, but Daphne, she shouldn't have came. She doesn't take full responsibility. But when you a stranger in somebody's house and you never really truly met them like that, I don't think you should just pop up.
Absolutely.
It could be some kind of, first pop up at the restaurant or the club or something, but you don't pop up out of somebody's house. So I think she has to own up to that part, because all of us know that we don't like just popping up in strangers' house, right?
Oh no, you make a great point.
You will say, I ain't never met that lady before. I don't want to go. Right?
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
She bears some responsibility in the situation.
And
you know what I'm saying? So that's my take on it.
And you're absolutely right. I kind of agree with that too, Gloria. Let's go to the Facebook group and see what they're saying. So we have Yolanda Johnson. Hi, Yolanda. And she says it is disrespectful. She pretty much with you, Jay, and everyone else, to bring uninvited guests to someone's home. Friends or not. That's a good point.
Absolutely.
It is all about respect with each other for number one.
Yes.
And I have to agree with that. Y'all some good friends, because my shady friends, if they wanted to bring, my close group friends, they all heterosexual. If they wanted to bring a dude over, they would bring him over. But guess what? Before I woke up, he would be gone. So y'all got some standards over there. All right, so moving along. So moving along, so we've covered chapter 7. Where did I get chapter 3 from? That was last time. And so we're going to move on to chapter 8. And chapter 8 says, read a little further than the first chapter, you may be surprised. All right. And so in this chapter, it opens up with Clyburn taking the ladies to church. The ladies finally get to go to church, y'all.
Praise.
We need
Keisha, I know you're happy.
This has been a long, journey to get to church. And then we find out that Clyburn is actually the owner of the limo service. And he's related to the owners of this prominent investment group, Poindexter and Poindexter. And during the time they're riding to church, finding out, about Clyburn, Suzette realizes that she may have misjudged him. And I didn't make mention of it, but in the previous chapters, she kind of dogged Clyburn, if you guys remember. She wasn't feeling him at first. And so she starts to feel a certain type of way that maybe her first impression of him was wrong. And in church, Joy notices that when they went out that particular night, she had this dance partner that she was kind of vibing with. And they danced for like 20 minutes on the dance floor. Well, her dance partner from the club turned out to be the soloist at the church, y'all. Okay.
Because that's what they do on Saturday night.
That's what they do on Saturday. And hit the choir on Sunday.
And so the ladies are all moved, just like we all are, by the sermon topic. And it puts them, in a little bit more perspective, given that they just had, noticed that what they were fighting over was kind of trivial. It needs to kind of shine the light on why they are all together, that they're there for friendship, the spirit of friendship. So, they have a moment. And then towards the end, as they're exiting the church, Tyra finally gets to introduce Preston to Joy. I will say this, I noticed in this particular chapter, and I'm big on setting the score right, especially with my friends. Like I said, I've already become friends with all these characters now. They're all my friends. How do y'all feel about, you have a quarrel with a girlfriend or whatever, and you don't formally apologize, even if like you don't get that formal apology? Is that needed? Because with me, it's needed. In order for me to move on, you got to say sorry.
It's needed.
Thank you, Jay. Team needed. Anybody else on team needed?
It's needed.
Lauren, okay. The both Laurens. Look, I just realized that.
But you know what? Before you guys go on there, let me just point out, because you missed something.
Yeah, I couldn't cover everything.
Say like the preacher say, you missed your shout. Okay, so who gave Clyburn the hard time?
Suzette.
Remember? Suzette. Because she, and who was liking Clyburn?
Tyra.
So she tells Tyra and the girls that Tyra she need to raise her standards. He's just a limousine driver. She's judging him. She doesn't even know him.
Right. That's why I said May mentioned that she misjudged him.
He turns out to be the owner of the limousine company, who just happened to fill in that night because his driver called out and he didn't have another driver, so he drove himself. So could that have also, going back to chapter 7, ties into why Tyra flicked off
angry
on Suzette also, because Suzette was judging her about who she was dating. He might not have been gay, but he's just a limousine driver.
Right.
So in other words, he was ugly. So now that he owned the company, now he's cute.
He real cute, Jay.
So that means
real cute.
Tyra's judging Suzette, but Suzette was judging Tyra and coming down on a man that she was liking. So that could have just played a little part into it. So not only are we reading a little further past the first chapter with Clyburn, Tyra didn't give Suzette the benefit of the doubt either. So they're both guilty here. So there's a lot of tension that is going on while they're in the house of the Lord. Now, okay, Keisha, just
I guess I did miss the shout because I didn't catch that, but I do have to bring up from the chat room before we move on. I'm sorry, guys. I want to make sure I include them. Toya said, did he still have on the same club clothes? Toya, the man changed clothes before he sung. That is hilarious. Okay.
Choir robe. Okay. Choir robe.
Is that what you're?
So,
okay,
Stephanie, I didn't think about that. It could have been. See, I'm still thinking they're lovey friends. I didn't think about the tit for tat thing. Like, oh, you don't like your boo? I don't like my boo.
It wasn't tit for tat necessarily. It's just like it could have been an added level of frustration on Tyra's part for going off on Suzette the way that she did her, going off on her and Daphne.
But remember though, and I might be mixing up the characters, but wasn't in the beginning when they all arrived, and even in talking about them, their relationship historically, Suzette was always the one that was judgmental about everything.
Yeah, she's kind of been a Debbie Downer,
right? It's yeah, and so so you think about that how she's judged, but she don't want to be judged in her new lifestyle. She wants you to just accept that, but you can't go outside of your norm. And whether it means having a relationship with somebody else or somebody that is not at the same standard financially as you are, but she's being judgmental. But she expected her friends to just take her
for
who she is. Exactly. Yeah.
With no questions asked. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Thing quickly, just want to add on to that is, sometimes when somebody is harboring something that is really difficult for them to come to terms with, they're not always the nicest person in the world, because they're projecting their own, self-hatred or whatever that may be on other people. So it's possible that, their reading of her being super judgmental, whether or not she was judgmental or not, was actually just her kind of acting out that she was uncomfortable with who she was also. So there's always, that's a perspective that I have, because I know that I was probably not the nicest person to some people, growing up, because I was hiding something about myself. And then it's very possible that, as the story goes along, that dynamic might change with them, now that she is, unburdened herself with the fact that she is a lesbian.
She is, yeah. And so in that moment, Preston has kind of been like dangled in front of us since chapter 3. So we're finally getting to find out about Preston.
Yay!
Uh-oh. My iPad. No, that wasn't me at that time. That was me that time. It wasn't me earlier. So in chapter 9, we go back to DC. Okay, in chapter 9, when you gotta have it, you gotta have it. All right, and so we are going to be talking about the topics, and I want you guys to kind of keep in mind also in my Facebook group, I just want you guys' opinion, especially now in 2020. What's your take? And, keep in mind, these women are 40 and over. But even if you're like in your 30s and over, what's your take on long distance relationships, and how long do you think that is too long? So I just want to kind of keep that in your thought as we discuss this. But Joy and Preston obviously hits it off, and they're kind of in a super crush phase of the relationship at the beginning, when everything is fresh and new, and her girlfriend introduced her to him so she can kind of relax, and he's just fulfilling all the saying the right things and doing the right things, and everything is just beautiful and kosher and all that. And I'd like to note where she said the birds are chirping and the sun is shining. When you're in a good relationship, you nice to everybody, get to work on time. Everybody, don't nobody make you mad no more. You be like, oh, I ain't worried about her. She just having a bad day because you in love, okay? And so that's the vibe I got from Tyra, is that she's in, La La Land. And so is Preston. We find out, we get introduced to Joy's assistant, Terry, at IAAU. And in this chapter, we find out a little bit more about, Joy's business, what she does. She has a day spa. They kind of mention it in chapter 1 through 3, but they really talk about it now. And so Joy is so heightened by her current relationship with Preston that there's a little page 95. It kind of touches on the phone sex situation. I found it absolutely hilarious that they were going to have phone sex and she started without him. That was hilarious to me. Do y'all remember that part? It's on page 95.
She started and finished without him.
She started and finished without him, girl. And it, oh, bless her heart. Joy is happy. I tell you, she liked that guy, I tell you. But yeah, I thought that was hilarious. That was, does everybody remember page 95? I feel like I'm being wandered.
I guess I think it surprised her. I don't think she was trying to. I think it just happened.
Yeah, it just one of those. It was an unexpected pleasure.
Yeah.
Girl, Zeke is gone. She looked. Okay, it's been a while. So in the chapter, it's no way I could cover 9, 10, and 11. So I'm gonna miss some stuff, but I tried to capture all the highlights. So in this chapter, also Preston surprises Joy with a visit to the salon. I love this. He disguised himself as a client, and it gets very hot and steamy in this particular section of this chapter, to say the least. And I love, you know, since I'm the host, I get to talk about the parts I really, really like. So if you all could go to page 102, I got to talk about this. I'm sorry. I highlighted it too. He says, okay, he whispers into her ear. Page 102, in case you missed it. No fancy positions, no extra acts. Just let me make pure love to you. And pure, satisfying love is exactly what they made. I'll let that sink in just a little bit.
Let it sink in.
Let it sink in. That long distance relationship I had you jacked up, want it?
Let's have a moment. Look, Keisha, a moment of silence.
A moment of silence, okay?
Put your glass in the air.
Hands in the air. My best friend, she jokes about.
Y'all need to go back to the chapter about the church, because y'all didn't say how grandma preached. Y'all didn't say how grandma preached. Now y'all on the floor.
I know, right? I didn't know how Steph felt about that. I didn't know if she would have revealed it, but okay.
Yeah, when I saw that part, I hollered.
I did too.
Okay, y'all.
Oh my goodness. And so, yeah. And then I'm not going to read this because, you know, it's still before 9 o'clock. Page 103, the first sentence in the second paragraph. Just so you know, I can't relate to that. Okay, so I'm going to let y'all look that up.
What is that, Keisha?
Page 103, the first sentence in the second paragraph.
Let's let the author read that.
Oh, I'm a little bit of a hater because that's never happened to me. So I don't know nothing about that.
Oh, let's stop reading.
Lauren, I saw your eyebrow go up.
We gotta find you a Preston.
Hey, look. Yeah, a unattached one.
Right. Yeah, let's clear that up for sure.
Okay, well, I think the subject here, I mean, the scene is no doubt highly passionate and romantic, and it's not, I mean, it's classy romantic, but I think the issue here also is with that it's the long distance that brought it. Not saying that this can't be on a regular, because that's what we all would like for it to be, like this on the regular, but I think the long distance part really played a part to the phone sex that she unexpectedly got caught up in, and you know, and now with Corona going on, I'm sure it's like a common thing now.
It's lit up.
Yeah.
Video chat, Zoom, everything.
All of that. So now, and then he surprises her. So he actually says he couldn't wait another minute. Business meeting got canceled, and brother hopped a flight from Houston to DC before her office closed to get in there just for those 2 hours, and then flies back to Houston. Let that sink in.
Let that sink in. And you know what? Jawar brought up a characteristic that I possess. I admit I am a recovering control addict. I like to plan things, but I am open to other ideas and things like that. Like, I'm not one of those shrewd control people, but I would have been thrown off if a guy had showed up at my job. Like, we would have to have a little bit of a Q&A, and then I can get into the mood.
Oh my God.
That is just Jay.
Yeah.
I need to hear from you.
Oh, I'm listening. I'm taking it all in. I was getting ready to say, I was about to say, if a dude is really feeling you, he'll get on a flight and fly across the country for you.
Thank you.
Especially if he's hearing what he want to hear, and he's like, "That's it. I'm gone. I'm on the next thing smoking."
That's right, Jay. I like that. Well, this is called Wind Down Readers.
No Q&A though.
You say that again, Wanda?
No,
What'd you say, Wanda?
I say he's not coming for no Q&A though.
He's not coming for no Q&A, girl.
Hey, look. Hey, look.
Time for that.
Hell nah, he ain't coming for no Q&A.
Everybody's got time for that.
And nobody got time for that.
And he gonna hit you with the. He gonna hit you with the. I'm talking.
There you go. There you go, Jay. There you go.
Now, okay, so remember now, he's already nude because she's giving him a massage.
Right.
So you mean to tell me your type personality would say, okay, hold up, wait a minute, let me just ask you, how'd you get here? Whatnot?
Okay, so let me role play. Let me role play. So Stephanie, I role play.
Okay.
You be the guy, I be me, because I'll probably do better as me. Hey, you here? What you doing here?
I came to see you, baby. I couldn't take it anymore.
Jay, you are not Stephanie.
Oh, my bad.
Let Jay be Preston.
Let Jay
be Preston.
Didn't I tell y'all I'm a control freak? I like to know what's going on.
Okay. Well,
okay, Jay.
And let Jay
rewind. Let's start this over. Hey, what you doing here? Like, oh, okay, when did you get here? And I will speak that high when I say it.
Jay, remember you naked.
I couldn't take it anymore. I just had to see you.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I've been at work. Oh, what we gonna do? Okay.
I want to introduce you to a friend of mine. He just popped up.
That's not the Preston response, Jay, just so you know.
Hey, look, anyway, but she said I was naked.
I think this is a time for us as we the chat is getting ready to explode here on Facebook, so I'm gonna let them all load up. Toya said, "What?" She didn't like your response either, Jay. So this is called Wind Down Readers. I'm a little off task, so let me know what you're drinking on. We're gonna take a moment. Shout out what you're sipping on. I'm doing something a little what Stephanie had. I'm doing a sangria. In light of Corona, I got to get my mind into like a hot tropical area. So I'm sipping on sangria. What you got going on, Candace?
Well, we had daiquiris and peach crown.
Had is the word.
Yes.
Had.
It's gone already.
All right. Well, me and Candace the only ones drinking?
Oh no,
it's gone.
It's gone.
Yeah,
Well,
mine's gone too.
Look at Gloria with the straw. Gloria, not the law. Stephanie, what you drinking on?
A red blend.
Both of them shot out.
What I had.
What did you have, Steph?
I had, I couldn't do the wine, so I'm just going to be honest. This is some Malibu.
That is funny. Well, I know last time I didn't drink. I had a mocktail for the essential workers. It's Saturday night. They shouldn't be going to work tomorrow anyway, so I'm drinking my thing.
We got to get ready for D-Nice after this. So,
okay. Yes. So let me see who's Toya says she's drinking Prosecco. Who else is drinking in the chat room? Shout out what you're sipping on.
Oh, go ahead, Desi.
Okay, Desiree says she's sipping on Moscato.
All right now.
You got to say it like that, Moscato. Lauren, what you drinking? What are you drinking, darling?
Oh my God, so sad. I'm on a 30-day detox, so I am not drinking anything but water.
Oh, Lauren. Okay. Well,
but if I were drinking, I'd have a glass of Josh Cab with me right now. So someone just drink a glass of Cab for me.
I'll do it for you, Lauren.
Lauren went there.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Where's Joie? That's my little side drinker. She's not on the screen. So okay. So Gloria, do you know the name of what you're drinking on tonight?
No.
Is that a smile like you know this answer?
Well, I can tell you what Jawai has Gatorade.
Okay.
Breastfeeding. So
okay.
And I am drinking the same drink Toya is drinking.
Prosecco.
Okay.
Isn't that little
Wanda?
I'm clear tonight. I'm just having some ginger ale, lemonade ginger ale.
Oh, you posing. Okay. We have Wanda Johnson. She says she's drinking Barefoot Red Moscato.
All right now.
All right. So everybody enjoy their little sip as we talk. So getting back to chapter 9. So this chapter kind of ends with Preston reflecting on Joy. So he's kind of at a crossroads, we find out. And he is really genuinely into Joy. You know, he's thinking about her. She's the woman that in his mind that he really wants. But we find out there's another person in Preston's life. This character, Della, comes into play. Because it ends the chapter with, what is he going to do about Miss Della?
When I read that, I was like, oh my goodness.
The birds stopped chirping and the sun went down.
Apple hit a window. Like,
got a hangover.
I was like, Preston. You know, you say somebody's name long when you're mad. Preston. That's what I said when I read that. And so moving on to chapter 10. The title of this one, Plans Are Made to Be Broken.
Are not made to be broken. Are not made to be broken.
Plans are not made to. Oh, is it not made? I probably typed it up wrong. Sorry.
Plans are not made to be broken.
Preston and Joy continue to travel back and forth, doing the long distance thing. And we find out that Joy communicates with Zeke. Okay. Turns out he's quote unquote, you know, I don't buy that whole talking to your ex thing, but you know, for the sake of the book, I'll read this. I'm such a shrew. It turns out he's doing well and he's dating his high school sweetheart. And Preston Joy notices that Preston starts to cancel, you know, plans that they have in place. That's something that, you know, she kind of takes note of. And in that also, she notices that, you know, while she's at the salon, the spa, she's starting to get these like prank phone calls, you know, and it's a little bit more than usual. So she's kind of, you know, making note of that. We find out that Zeke and Joy attends the same church. So in one particular the section of the chapter, Joy is kind of bummed out that, you know, Preston didn't make, he had to cancel on her at the last minute. So, you know, she kind of drinks and goes to bed, a little kind of, you know, bummed out about that. So the next morning, Zeke calls her. Isn't it always the case when your ex call you, when your current is not following through? But anyway, and we find out they go to the same church on Sunday. He was thinking about her, so he decided to give her a call. So, you know, they chop it up for a minute and they discuss their current relationships and they happen to make dinner plans. Well, with Joy discussing this with her girlfriend, Carmen warns Joy, you know, about the emotional risk that she's taking with agreeing to meet Zeke for dinner. You know, what do you guys think about that? I'm not good with, and I want to ask Erica this first. I'm not good with, when I'm over you, you don't get the friendship of me like that. I'll speak to you and be nice to you and send you a Facebook happy birthday when they alarm me that it's your birthday and all that stuff. But chopping it up with you on a regular, we going out to eat. You don't get to do that no more with me. We not together. What do you guys think, Erica? Erica's like, why she asking me?
Person that y'all know, but I would think that yeah, the chopping it up wouldn't be. I probably wouldn't want to do that either. But like I said, you know, you asking the wrong person on that one. I mean,
I know, right?
A lot of stuff, not that.
I was just curious. Curiosity got to me. Anybody else agree or disagree? Facebook, what do you guys think? Do you guys think, you know, keeping in contact with your exes on a friendly, I mean, it's the right thing to do. And in a perfect world, yeah. But maybe I just feel like there's always a motive.
No, I don't think it's a good thing to keep up with exes. That's why they're called exes.
Okay.
I think it also depends on the terms on which you guys broke up on. Because what my very first ex, we broke up because I was leaving the state. So, you know, we broke up because of that, because of the situation. It wasn't going to lend itself to continuing that relationship. And, you know, he and I are still very good friends because we left it on that. No, it wasn't like, oh my God, I'm never going to talk to you again. You know, I hate your guts. You know, how could you do this to me? Blah, 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 blah. You know, we were still very good friends when we broke up. So I think it really depends on the terms on which you broke up, but
That's
also, you know, the investment that you have in that person as a person, you know, removing the whole romantic relationship part of it. I think it depends on your relationship with that person. So like for my first ex, he and I were good friends to begin with, and then we started dating and then we broke up. So we just went back to being friends. I think if it was someone that I started out strictly dating and then I broke up, I don't want to talk to you anymore.
So let me ask you this, and maybe I should have added this in. Maybe I should say, I don't want to talk about my new boo with you, and I definitely don't want to hear about yours. So we don't need to be going out to eat. And
I think it still depends. I don't know. Maybe I'm too nice. Sometimes I'm like, hey, this is so great. Like, you are good for me, but kudos to y'all. Y'all live it up. Have your best. Like,
but if you already
start,
I don't want you anyway, so I'm glad she wants you. That's good.
Oh, go. All right, Lauren. That's good. That's good. True.
Y'all have that. That's great.
If you already started a relationship with somebody else, right? Why are you still going out with your ex? I mean,
yeah, the dinner might be a lot.
Yeah, the dinner, and it's still kind of new to break up. Yeah,
I mean, it's different if y'all ran into each other in the mall or something and you become high and by friends. Hey, how you doing? How's life? Everybody good? Okay, good seeing you again. I'm out.
But especially since they go to the restaurant that they broke up in.
Yeah.
I saw
like,
that.
You know,
like,
that's
not a good move.
I think it depends on the maturity level.
It does. And I'm not that mature when it comes to my heart.
I think like the woman, the guy, like how he said, depending on how it ends, and also how he said, if you guys start off as good friends before you started dating, like I feel like some friendship you can like, just pick back up, be cordial. Oh, hey, you know, if you see somebody won't feel awkward. But I feel like it's an awkwardness between it. I mean, it's still some kind of emotions in there. Like I'm the kind of person I could be cordial with anybody. If I see somebody like, oh hey, but if the person that they're dating like, oh, what she's saying hey to you, can see if there's no maturity on that point.
Yeah, it just
we're like, oh, I don't want him, like, you know, I'm not worried about that. I'm just speaking because I'm just speaking.
It's the right thing to do.
It just depends on certain people.
I think that's such a good point too, because I think you could kind of back to like the whole friendship thing. If you guys start off as friends, you can try to take it to a dating level and realize that that's not really where that person is supposed to be in that category of your space, right? Like they're not supposed to occupy that for you. Like they're supposed to be a friend for you. So then to say that you throw the whole like baby out with the bathwater with it, like maybe it's not that. Maybe it's
not the baby with the bath.
We were supposed to be just friends. Like maybe we didn't do, you know, it wasn't supposed to be more than that. So I think it does definitely depend on the situation.
Yeah, and I think too they had a cordial breakup too. So I mean,
did.
And both in that realized that they weren't right for each other. But I think it says something about them being able to be friends, to go back and still had conversations. I think when you talk about talking about each other's new relationship, there was some discomfort with Joy when he was asking her questions about her relationship. And you remember she didn't want to talk about that. So I think they were good. They were friends, and it was obvious they were friends because their breakup wasn't a knockdown, drag out, I hate you kind of thing. It ended up just being that it just wasn't right as far as a relationship, but they both liked each other as people.
And
so I think that's possible. So.
Yeah, the ending does make a difference. I'm gonna look at the chat room here, and we have Stephanie Harris. Oh, she's here. I'm great friends with my ex-husband. We have dinner occasionally. You hold that thought. I need to know how that works. And then Desiree says, I'm friend with my ex-husband. We just have to set boundaries. Now that's a good point. We have Pettigay. If you're over, she's kind of with Lauren, Team Lauren. If you're over, then it's easy to be friends. If one still has feelings, holding on to the friendship might be hopes of reconciliation. That's where I guess with my experience, it's never been like a platonic thing. So that's why I think I guess I'm not a believer in it. But it does, I guess if both of you guys feel like, I've dated a guy in college before and we could be friends because it's like he's moved on, he's married, I've moved on, it's nothing there. I don't know, maybe it's the recent ones.
Well, it's nothing saying that y'all can't be friends, but again, hi and bye friends. Hey Lauren,
that boundary.
Set the screen for a minute for a minute, Lauren. You and I are in a relationship. I'm sitting there getting dressed, and you say, "Where you going?" And I say, "I'm getting ready to go have dinner with my ex." Your response will be,
Where?
No.
You know what's so cute
you
too.
Want my response.
Yeah, but no,
it's no.
Just, hey, look, we're still friends. I thought it would be cool if we went out to have dinner. Your response.
Then I'm coming too. We all go. It's gonna be
gonna be friendly, huh, Lauren?
Gonna be all friends, all of
us. That's right.
Jay, that's a good point because are you going to be honest with your current boo that you're going out to see?
That's where this isn't. He's not. I mean, he has a girl. She's dating Preston. They're out doing dinners. That looks a little sneaky to me.
Yeah, especially if he now. I'm a guy. If he's not telling her, he has a hidden agenda. If he's hiding something, he has a hidden agenda.
Well, we know Preston has a hidden agenda off the top. So I don't know. I don't think Zeke's, it was just annoying to hear his high school sweetheart. Didn't they just dig into you? I was like, I don't nobody care if she a high school sweetheart. She ain't Joy. Just annoyed me just a tinge. But anyway, yeah, I don't think if she would have mentioned that to Preston, whether he was, in a situation or not, he would be so open to her to have dinner with her. And granted, they aren't married, but if you're going to be open and friendly with it. But Miss Nene, you have to let me know. I don't know, because it's working out for you. You have to let me know how that goes down.
The difference is we've been divorced a long time. And when he is in a relationship with someone, I don't have dinner with him because
so you have boundaries. Okay.
There's the boundary. So if he's in vice versa, if we're in a relationship, we're not. But it's like we've been divorced for so many years. I'm still part of his family and he's still part of my family. That's just unique for us. But when he's in a relationship with somebody, I back off so that person doesn't feel uncomfortable.
Okay, I can dig that. That sounds, yeah.
I think in any situation with an ex, especially if you're romantically involved with that person, boundaries is a huge thing. Because even with, my very first ex, there's certain conversations we don't have. We don't talk about current relationships. We don't talk about. He knows that I'm married because that's just how that is. Because you can't hide a ring. But you can. But that's a different thing. Thank you, Preston.
No, right? You ruined the game.
But I think boundaries, I think maturity levels and boundaries, those are the 2 points where, can you be friends with an ex? It depends on if both parties are mature enough to put boundaries in terms of what is on the table, what isn't on the table. And like Jay said, if someone's going in with ulterior motives, then you're misleading the other person and you're being immature in that sense. So, you know, Joy could be going in to the conversation about, you know, let's just be friends and that's it. And it's possible that Zeke has a different motive, but we don't know that yet, you know.
We don't know that yet. All right, Joy, I see you popped in. Do you have a response to this little twist in chapter 10? I think you're muted, but it looks like I took you off base. So I'm gonna save you for next time, okay? Miss Barbara, I see you rubbing your face, turning your neck side to side. What you got to say, girl?
Is she
She's
muted?
unmuting herself.
I'm unmuting myself. I don't know. I mean, I think that having dinner with your, it's just a lot of, it depends on a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
Depends on how it ended, why you're having dinner, you know, how long it's been since you've had, you know, to me, their ex is very new. So I'm not quite sure of why that they need to be having dinner.
Exactly.
So I think there's something else going on. You know, she maybe has some insecurities with the long distance relationship.
Right.
And he probably, you know, high school, I don't know about going back to your high school. I don't know, maybe not. But, you know, I find going back doesn't normally work, but maybe it does. I don't know. But for me, it wouldn't. But so, yeah. So I don't know.
I think dinner is a big step. I would have, if you're gonna meet up with an ex, I would say maybe coffee, a light snack, maybe that's it. If that, even if that, you know, I think having a meal with somebody, especially if they're your ex,
intimate,
is really intimate, especially if it's the two of you, and it's at the restaurant that you two just broke up at.
Look, Alex can't get over the fact that it's at the restaurant that we broke up at. Alex said, don't forget we broke up at this restaurant.
I don't want to meet with none of my exes. We fine.
Thank you, Candace. It's over, done with. Keep moving.
I'm good.
Business now. Some they want to buy. I feel so bad. I don't
no.
know the motive.
Call your high school girlfriend.
Support me, or you just trying to see me be messy. I'm good. All business isn't good business. I'll be like, I'm fine.
And I think with this one, it kind of threw me. And Lauren, if I run into an ex and I got on sweatpants and jeans, and I'm okay with it, that's fine. But if I'm getting dressed to run into an ex, that's different. That means I want him to see me looking good. Yeah. And I might not be over the situation.
Yeah,
they chose sexy.
I'm not gonna get all dressed up sexy to go out with my ex. I really don't care.
Yeah, right. So that means that shows you're over it. Yeah.
Hey, look, and because the whole while you getting dressed looking pretty, you thinking about this ex. Because now you're trying to look good for this ex.
I'm gonna look Jay, I'm gonna look just like I'm looking right now. Look, as I'm eating this chicken from Popeyes.
That's right.
Yeah, I think that makes a difference. If I'm getting cute, that means I want you to see how I want you to miss me. I think that's the motive behind that, is that I want you to miss me or miss what we had or something. I'm just throwing that plug in there.
That was too fresh.
Yeah. So let's see here. So going back to chapter 10, so Joy and Zeke, we find out that they do meet and have dinner. And nothing happens, basically they have dinner, they talk about each other's relationships. She talks about Preston. He asked her, is this thing serious? I didn't like that question. Why are you worried about if something's serious or not? But anyway. And, she kind of stumbles with that. She kind of says, I don't know. I know in her mind, she's probably trying to be politically correct to say, I don't know, we'll see what happens. But it's kind of like, it's almost like he put an intentional bug,
I think it's kind of an inappropriate question to ask.
It is. Do you think you have
if it's relatively recent, you know what I mean? I think I agree with you that it's kind of going off what Jay said earlier. It's possible that he has ulterior motives. Because if there's being chivalrous and, you know, walking a lady to her car and that kind of thing. But if you're exes, I don't think that's a necessary move in a way. That might just be me. But I think the fact that he asked her about him, about like, do you see a future with him? There's a little bit of resentment there.
Yeah.
She's happy. He might not be as happy as she may be. So I think we're in for interesting.
He might trying to see after the high school girl don't work out if he has a chance. Because that's the way I took that. Like, is this dude serious? Is he a threat to me and my position in the future? And see, another thing why I don't like those questions is because if we broke up because you had issues with committing, I was on board. So it wasn't really, it was a mutual breakup and it wasn't like horrific or anything. But the fact that we broke up is because you have issues that we couldn't bring together. And then you don't get to ask me about my new boyfriend.
Right.
Just saying. Like I said, these are my friends, so I'm a little close to them. Gloria, you put on your glasses, girl, so you look like you got something to say. Okay, your delay is ridiculous. We'll come back to you, Sister G. You gotta love Gloria, okay? So moving on to chapter 11. Chapter 11 just, I think I need to refill my drink. So the title of this chapter is There's No Such Thing as Perfect. It's Christmas time. Joy and Preston are still dating. He comes into town, like my grandma say, like a thief in the night. He has a key. She gave him a key, so he kind of sneaks in, you know, surprise. He's, you know, Mr. Surprise. He's full of surprises. So he sneaks in and he, you know, surprises her on Christmas Day. So they have these gifts under the tree. They wake up. It's a lot of details in this chapter, but just to kind of sum it up. They wake up, they exchange gifts, and Joy notices there's a gift under the tree for her. And I do mean it's for her, that she thought maybe, you know, Preston had sent it to her because of the, and so he's like, you know, no, I didn't send that. I don't know what that is. So curiosity gets the best of her. She opens the gift and it's the marriage license of Preston and Della. And she is devastated. I mean, it's so sad. My heart just went out to poor Joy. I don't know if y'all watched the Ricky Smiley show, but my favorite character is Gary with the T. And he always say, we're gonna lift Joy up in prayer, y'all. We're gonna lift Joy up in prayer. He didn't have to do that to Joy. We got to lift Joy up in prayer. I felt like that. Stephanie, why did you do that? Why did you write that? I did not like that to happen to Joy.
I didn't either. I really didn't, but it was because, and I think I threw that in there because there is no such thing as perfect. We all want perfect, but there is no such thing as perfect. And we have created this perfect character almost in Preston. And the thing about it is that why it's done like that is because Preston is a good guy. And you know the saying from the Waiting to Exhale, he's a good guy, he's just in a bad situation.
Oh Lord, girl, no you didn't. Stephanie, you are wrong. Steph, you are wrong for that.
No, and I did that because he is a good guy in a bad situation, but it's so typical of guys doing that. You know what? Let me not generalize or characterize, or categorize. It's so, but it does happen.
Yep.
Jay, I'll let you speak from the male perspective, is that the marriage could be over. It could be over. So why couldn't he just say, because they are separated. They are separated. But why couldn't he just say that instead of letting her fall for him?
That's right.
And because he was trying to do it in his time, which is always the wrong time, most of the time. And I always say that men never know they're on the train track until they get hit by the train.
And that's true. And I totally agree with you. But I guess my debacle with the situation is you should have let Joy know this in the beginning, that you were separated. You could have given her the chance to decide if she wants to pursue
if she wanted to continue.
100%.
Separated,
Yeah,
man.
because-
Lauren, your lighting is great.
But Keisha can't. Oh,
Sorry, got out her lighting. It looks good. Go ahead, Wanda. I'm sorry.
no, I'm just thinking that Tyra was going to introduce her to Preston. Tyra is her friend. Tyra should know what Preston's situation is, right?
Not
So
Tyra and Preston met business-wise. They know each other, but they don't know each other. And remember that Preston and Daphne are separated. So Preston hasn't been dating anybody. He's been out. It's only you find out how, as you read, you find out how it unfolded. And nobody had come along to capture his heart until he met Joy, and then he decided
the author
about it.
I'm feeling the author is being really defensive of Preston, but I think
I love Preston.
I see you love Preston.
I love his character.
But I'm thinking that, so Keisha went to the point of the marriage license, but we also had an opportunity to kind of peek into he and Della's relationship, right? So their relationship was, they went to a party together during Christmas time. That's why he couldn't come to DC, remember? So he had that relationship and he was torn, I would say, and I say that he really is attracted to Joy, but he was torn in all of that. I think for me, the question is, when did Della find out about it enough to be making those phone calls and ultimately sending a gift to the shop? And so why was he so careless about that, knowing he was in an awkward situation to start off with? So I
remember, Della left him.
Well, we ain't got to that yet, y'all.
I'm sorry. Okay.
Y'all jumping about. We don't know if Della sent the marriage license with. We do know she sent it. Who else is sending it?
But they're calculating women. They're calculating women who do things like that. That's why I added it in there. So you have to meet Della in some form of fashion. So it's always that calculating woman who makes her position known. He's my husband. I want him.
And it does make mention that this is their second chance.
I want him back.
I want him back.
Yeah. Exactly. But I think when you are separated, I don't know, I've never been separated before. You're not supposed to date, right? Isn't that the
No, that's not true. I mean, you can date, but you have to be upfront with that person. Because some women say separated, I don't care, you're still married. You have to give her concrete evidence that I'm separated, nothing is going on, we're not in the same house, we're going through a divorce, and let her decide. I can't make that decision for you. You might have your rules set up whereas I don't date married men in any shape, form, or fashion.
That's it.
Come to me when your divorce is final, show me the divorce papers, then we can move on. But then you do have some women that say, hey, he proved to me, because I had a friend of mine that happened, and he was all the way separated. The wife moved out, and he met his then wife now, but he was totally separated, and he laid all his cards on the table. This is what's going on. I'm going through a bitter type of divorce right now, but it's in the works, and I will be free soon. And then when he got his papers, then they turned around and got married, but he didn't make that decision for her. He laid his cards out and let her decide
and
whether or
that's
not that's something that she wants to deal with.
Right. And that's the respectful thing to do. It's like, look, I got some stuff going on with me right now. It's coming to us, an end, but out of respect for you, just letting you know it's not there. So if you just want to kind of keep things simmering until it gets there, it's totally up to you. I think that's what makes it deceitful. Even going back to the Suzette situation, it's like, I thought we were there, and now I'm finding out this about you. Is like, do I really know you? Do I want to take a chance on you because you withheld this important information? And then to have your wife, quote unquote, like Stephanie said, they're calculating women, to have your wife send me a Christmas gift with your marriage certificate in there. You say that again, Alex?
Yes.
Say that again, I'm sorry.
To her home, which
to
means,
her home, that means you know my address.
Right.
It's a different ball game now, and my heart is broken.
Right.
So I don't know.
People hear me? I don't think they can hear me.
I can hear you now, Joelle. What'd you say?
I was thinking about why, someone would lie about being married. And then I thought, sometimes people do not want to tell that up front because some people are automatically turned off by it. Ooh, he's married. And then, they don't even give the relationship or whatever it is a chance to get to a point to where, they can have that conversation. Is that something that happens?
I definitely think it's something that happens, but I still think it goes back to I should be the one to decide that. You don't get to decide that for me. So if it doesn't work for you and I, because to me that's a deal breaker, then we just are not meant to work together. There is someone out there that will say, okay, that's fine. Let's move our relationship forward. But you can't decide for me how I should handle that situation.
Absolutely.
But do they ever ultimately what is meant to be is going to be.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So yeah.
And it will be when you are not married.
But did they ever talk about whether he was married or not? I think going back to the conversation about Tyra, Tyra may have known that he was separated, but did he and Joy ever have a conversation about whether or not he was married? Or she made an assumption that he was available because he wanted to meet her.
Well, it still goes back to he should have been upfront with the information because
totally agree.
If you're entering into a relationship with the expectation that you two like each other a lot, but you don't have the decency to be like, hey, this is what's going on. It's not pretty, or like whatever the situation may be. The fact that he didn't say anything to her about it, regardless of if she asked or not, he should have been upfront with it. I think we're all in agreement with that, but I think going back to what Stephanie said, we met him and he was a perfect person. Perfect lover, perfect, man. He had everything going for him. And in life,
and he was singing in the choir.
There's the Lord, girl.
Right.
There's
never a perfect person. You may think the person is perfect. I mean, even if to an extreme, if the person, let's say they're in an abusive relationship, they see that person as perfect. Whereas everyone else is like, no, girl, he ain't good for you. That kind of thing. So I think this is an important point because a lot of people, especially if they're in the honeymoon phase, which they are, he is perfect to her. And this is sometimes when you get out of that honeymoon phase is when the literal hits the fan.
So I'm gonna take up for Preston this time. Preston was confused. He was he had run into who he felt was the perfect woman, and he didn't want to lose her. She's across the country, so the chances of anything happening, of anything, him running into them running into each other. Because remember, he encouraged her not to come to Houston when he couldn't come to DC. That he was trying to probably play it on both sides, but I think it was a fear of he finally found somebody that he felt he could really have a relationship with, and then now he's knowing he's still kind of feeling in and out with Della, trying to figure out what's really happening with their relationship, and he didn't want to lose it. Not that it's right now. I don't know that I don't want to say that I agree, but his perspective was probably the fear of losing her, along with the fact that they are in a long distance relationship. And so how far can this really go? And just enjoying it because it's the first time he's been happy in a long time. So he probably just got caught up. And the gift was a total
You got two women that love you and they don't know about each other. Who has the wine and the cheese, please?
No, we know that one of them knows. We knew that one. We found out that one of them knew about the other, but the other didn't know about the other.
True.
So
she about to take a ride. Let me tell y'all, I've been trying to be good with this book and read only the chapters we're gonna take a discussion with, but Stephanie threw the word calculated out there. She about to take a ride with Della. Della is not playing about her man. Anybody that take time to go to the post office to make sure something arrives for Christmas, they are not in it to play games. Okay.
But also, I think a note that kind of goes back to the calculator thing, the fact that she wrapped the certificate in scented paper.
Oh,
girl, she took time.
She probably sprayed all that perfume on that paper.
Right.
Yeah, that's somebody you got to, you're gonna have to. That's why he in church singing. Got a character at the house.
So one other point also, that the one thing that I don't like about the character Preston, because I'm a Preston fan, is men, if your woman left you, why, and so many times I've heard it, men take no action. Why didn't he file for a divorce? Why do you just let the marriage sit?
Just ride,
Just ride it out, and you're just waiting for the woman to do something. And what the other thing is, we say sometimes that men don't do it because men will not take any action until they have somewhere else to go.
Steph, you got a hand raised. Go ahead on, Jay.
Nah, that's not all men.
Nah. He's stuttering.
That's not
I don't
all
mean to
men.
generalize.
Because I know it's in general, and I can't speak for them, but I know me. She didn't leave me. I asked her to leave. And 1 year to the day, she got her paper saying, I want a divorce. So some men want to hang around, but you can't move forward until that chapter is all the way closed. So you can move forward, whether there's someone in your life or not. But I refuse to be separated for 3 years, 5 years, 10 years. No. 1 year to the day, July 31st. 1 year to the day, I filed for a divorce because you had to wait a year in PG County. So I patiently waited my year, and that 366 day, the paperwork was being filed so I can get that completely over with, because I knew that there was no way I was going back.
Now, I thank you for your candidness, and this is for you and Alex. I was reading some relationship book, and I feel bad, I don't know the name of it to give it a shout out, but the therapist in the book was stating that women, we are nurturers, but when we're moving on to next step, we purge. Like it could be with friends, it could be, we already set our mind to the next day. And if you're not in, our thoughts in the future, we don't have problems throwing away. It's just like cleaning up your house. You're not using it, you throw away. Men like things that kind of work, and they're conservers. Whether if it's working and it's not, a major interruption, we're just gonna leave it alone and see what happens. You guys agree with that? Not you, Jay, because you did 366. But but do you guys agree with that? I thought that thought was profound.
I think it's interesting because I have had friends who are like that, and I'm that person who's just like, you need to wash your hands of it, let it go, move forward with your life. You can't wait for something to be fixed if you're the reason the person left.
Oh, wow.
So I think men who are the conservative, because I recognize that phrase, there's an immaturity about them that they can't make that next decision. Whereas other men, like for example, like when I broke up with my most recent ex before my husband, I was done. You know, granted, it wasn't a great situation to begin with, and there was a court involved, but you know, the best way to move on from something is to just wash your hands of it and move forward. Because if you want to be the mature person in the situation, you want to move forward. And the idea of purging, you know, friends, people around you, the person's family, the person's belongings, you know, I think one of the biggest examples of that is a woman throwing a man's stuff in the yard and lighting fire to it. You know, that's something that we see over and over again in a lot of literature, that's, you know, could happen, whatever that may be. So I think it not only depends on the individual, whether it's the man or the male or the female or whatever the situation may be. It comes down to maturity. You know, I think, you know, I have friends who aren't really not the most mature when it comes to relationships, and they're going to be that person who's going to wait, you know, 5 years, 6 years, 10 years to make that next move. But I got plenty of friends who are just like Jay, who waited for the one day pass when they're allowed to do something, and they did it, you know? So I think it's an interesting point, because I've also seen women who are like that also. So I think when we talk about, you know, what men do versus what women do, I think it's a conversation about what people do, because you're going to have people who, you know, fall on both sides of that equation. Because I know plenty of female friends of mine who are like, oh, he still loves me. And, you know, 2.5 years later, like, he'll come back to me. Meanwhile, he has 2 kids, he's married, he's in Georgia. Like, we've moved on. So I think when it comes to how individuals work in a relationship, it's just interesting, because you're going to have the person who's more mature, who's going to move on, who's be like, you need to grow up, I'm out, you know, you're going to wash your hands of it and move on. And you're always going to have that person who's...
Well, I think that women would be more open to tell that they're separated. And I could be wrong, but we don't have a problem if you weigh it out, male versus female. A female would be more open to tell you that she's separated than a male would. A female would take more action as far as filing for the actual divorce than the male would. I could be wrong, but
I don't necessarily agree or disagree with you. I think it depends on the situation and the person. But I will say though, I think even if the person's going to make the decision to file for divorce or whatever that may be, it comes back to maturity and ulterior motives. Like, you know, going back to Wanda said, how he may not have told her because he didn't want to lose her. I think the main thing is that he should have said something, so then she had control over the situation, because no one wants to receive your new boyfriend or girlfriend's wedding certificate in the mail. You know?
But didn't he also? Oh, didn't he also say something about if he had told her he knew he would lose her or something like that? Didn't he?
He did.
Well, he was hesitant about it, and he, you know, whether he should or not, or would. He had in his mind when
he was,
to tell her.
That sometimes men, you know, maybe they don't want to divorce because they just feel like in their head she's still mine. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're not really ready to let her go totally. You know, because sometimes men have that idea where, you know, they feel that maybe women are like, they belong to them. Like, she belongs to me. And
well, I think men need a reason.
Yeah, a reason.
And if they don't have a reason, it's just status quo. Right. You know what I mean? And Joy finally gave him a reason.
I think also
it also depends on why she left in the first place. If he did something enough, so drastic or crazy enough for her to leave, and she left, she's not mine.
You'll find out why she left.
She's gone, and I don't know why a guy wouldn't tell a woman after the fact, hey, look, off the break, I'm separated. That he just has to, at least the people I know, and I know myself, I'm separated. Why would you, that question had to come up. What's your relationship status? I'm glad you asked that question.
Well, it's a little different, you know, it's complicated, right?
Complicated.
Unless he was just trying to get some. If he's just trying to get some, he's not gonna say anything. If he's just there for, you know what I'm saying, not anything serious, he's not gonna tell the truth.
Well, if he's just trying to get something, yeah, he's gonna say whatever he wants to say, whatever she wants to hear. But
and it's not gonna be that he's married.
But that's true. Is it the second date, the third date, is the fourth date? How deep into it is he before he decide, hey, maybe, you know, she's a nice person. Maybe I might not be trying to get some. I might just be trying to get to know her because she's interesting. You know,
what if that happened? What if by the fifth date he was just, you know, still dating her because he liked the how can I say sex? I don't know.
Yeah, you can say
girl. Go ahead, you wrong.
Because he likes the sex, and then after like the, you know, a month in, he's like, dang, I really like her, but he never told her that he was married yet.
You know, this reminds me.
It can't. I just think that it can't be one of them. Oh yeah, by the way, I'm separated. It just can't be. Oh, the sex was good. I'm separated.
Right.
But you know what? I like the way Stephanie brought up the reason, and when she said that, and we're gonna move on. When she said that, it automatically came to my mind. And y'all remember the movie Harlem Nights? The Italian guy that slept with Sunshine. And the next morning, because his world was so moved by her, he called his wife. I mean, even the kids answered the phone. And he said, put your mom on the phone. Yeah, I ain't never coming home no more. Take it in, Barbara.
Hey, look. He didn't even tell it. He didn't tell her put the mom on the phone. He said, tell your mama that I'm never coming home.
That's true.
So, oh my God, this has been so much fun. I'm not going to be disrespectful of your time, guys. But yeah, this has really been, you know, no pun intended, a joy ride. It has been. And so we are going to do our final series. Stay tuned, stay engaged on the event page, and we'll let you know. It'll probably be within a week or so. Stephanie and I have to discuss that. But that was chapter 4 through 11, and it was an eyeful and a mouthful. I don't know if that was appropriate to say, but yeah, Stephanie. Joa started it. Stephanie, do you have anything? I mean, I hope this is, as an author, I hope this is helpful for you. We probably just mixed your head all the way up for your next book. Hopefully
No, not at all. It's great. It's great to hear the different perspectives. And I know, you know, because I'm writing from my perspective. Right. So it's awesome to hear the different things and the different discussions and topics that can come out of things that I'm thinking about, and it will help me to develop the characters in the next series.
Well, you definitely got some different perspectives.
Yeah.
Well, Wanda, Nene, Jay, Barbara, Joa, Alex, Candace, Lauren, Stephanie, of course. Thank you so much. I've had so much fun talking to you guys tonight. This virtual event has been, you know, definitely one for the books. And I hope to see you guys on the next one. We're gonna come to the end. That's gonna be so sad. These are my friends. We can't, you know what I'm gonna do after the book ends. But anyway, Stephanie, do you have any closing remarks before we go to our virtual club? Where we going, Nene? You are party planner.
We gotta go to D Nice.
D Nice. So before we head over to D Nice, Stephanie, what you want to close us out with?
I don't have anything to close out.
Drinks, girl. I know. Wind down.
Just wind down. Read those next chapters. It gets good. It really is a great story, and I do enjoy the different perspectives and the feedback. You know, and you guys just stay safe and healthy, and drink up.
Drink up. And so we are going to be discussing on our next one. We are going to be discussing obviously chapter 12, and it ends with chapter 29. No, actually chapter 30. So there's a lot of chapters, to cover. And anything you want us to kind of focus on, Stephanie, with going into the next, chapters. I did want to make mention, we have a surprise for you guys on the next one. Stephanie actually did a production for one of the chapters. I'm not going to tell you what chapter it was, but hopefully we'll get to play that in our next Zoom chat, a virtual review.
That was a lot of fun. It was a lot, it took 13 hours to get 8 minutes.
Well, look, welcome to the world of film. You in Hollywood now.
Yeah, welcome but the only thing that I say as you're reading about joy is just remember what's important is just the simple moments that we take for granted.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, guys. Well, until next time, you guys have a good night, and I will be chatting with you later. You guys we're gonna party tonight, but tomorrow we're gonna, we need to read. All right. Take care. Everybody have a good night.
Take care. You too.
Thank you.
Good night. Bye.
Bye.